All right, we're still talking about qualitative research, and this particular section is on advertising copy testing. So, what exactly is it? Advertising copy testing is basically, just a way to figure out if people can read the material on the ad, if people understand that material. Okay, so that is exactly what we're trying to do here with advertising copy testing. Um, a lot of the reading material is in a little bit of a draft form. Um, it will be then approved after this testing and then finally mass produced, right? So that is how that process goes. There are many, many different ways of doing copy testing. We are doing a lot of online stuff now. Um, and there's a usability testing that sort of goes on. There's a company called usertesting.com. I work with them, on several occasions to see if people understand the ad, if the font is big enough, depending on, what your age group is, what language people speak, are they able to understand what they're seeing in that ad? Is it easy to follow? Is it easy to navigate? Those are the kinds of questions that we ask. Um, of course, there's a slight quantitative aspect to that because, when you're sending out a survey online, it's still a survey and it's still quantitative. But really, what you're testing is the qualitative aspect of the ad, right? There are also community boards where you're able to ask a bunch of people what they think about a specific ad and even have people talk about it internally online. Very similar to the discussion board that you may be familiar with on Blackboard. Um, it works pretty much the same way, but here we're testing ads. Okay, so of course, online is a big one. And then sometimes we even get focus groups together to do the same sort of thing. So look at this particular slide here, and you can see, this is when I used to work with Gannett. I did some work with the USA Today. Gannett is actually, has a lot of newspapers online and physical paper that is sent to people's homes, and they wanted to change up USA Today. So one of our, projects was, just to see are people able to find things because they wanted to move a few sections around. And the question was like, can people find things? If they're looking for sports on TV, are they able to find it on that, sheet of paper? Are they looking at the headlines? Because we want to change the format. Will this format work, right? So those are the kinds of questions that they ask. Is the size of the font good enough for our viewers? Do they like that, we've moved sports to, just making this up, like page 4 instead of page 2. So you're watching people as they go and you're really looking at, are they able to figure out what section is where? Are they able to find it? Do they like it? Do they miss their old versions? Or will they be okay with what we have here? Also, are they looking at the ads? Are they looking at the colors? And are they getting confused by it? Or they actually love the change, right? So that is the kind of stuff that advertising copy testing does. Can people read the ad material? Can people understand the product or the material? Or do we need to make any changes? Okay, what I want to do now is show you a bunch of ads. Now you have to create your own as part of your projects. And so, I found a bunch of these comparisons online, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to bring them to you to show you what people like, don't like, what do they think about as they create their ads. A lot of this work is done by a designer. So let's look at the first one here. It says logo versus no logo. And so you see there are, of course, a few changes, a few differences between this one and this one, right? So this one has the logo right here. This one doesn't. It also has some more information, whereas this one doesn't, right? So, of course, you have limited, sort of space for text. So, some people say, hey, we should use the logo because it's conveying the message. And, we have to make sure that the product sort of resonates, with this brand. Well, some people would say, no, you know what, honestly, it just looks cleaner on the left because you're already seeing the logo here. So really, do you really need to put anything else there, right? Um, well, I would say, some people would sort of consider a logo to be good. The use of logo is important only if your brand is well known, people know about it. um, some people say, you make it too salesy like you see here. I don't know, I mean, if that's cheesy, maybe we don't need to do that. So whatever you decide to do, right? This is a designer eye, there's no one right answer. But if you choose the option with the logo, keep in mind that you want to keep everything else around it very clean, so that it doesn't sort of, overcome the message or overpower, the image. But it's an interesting way to think about, of course, this is a social media ad, as you can tell. You can like the page and you can shop, but when you're designing yours, ask yourself this question: should there be a logo in the ad itself, or should I just let it go? Okay, let's look at the next one. This says focus on and leave out, right? So look at this one. This one, on the left, it has a fair trial little symbol here. On the right, you don't have it. Okay. So ask yourself, which one do you like? Should I keep it on? Should I pull it out? Right? A lot of advertisers, they say there should be 5 words that you should include in your ads if you want people to respond to it. Right? Free, that's a good one. You see it in here. Another word could be new, instantly. Uh, you is another word, and then because, right? So if you use some of these words, they're more action words. People may take, respond to it. They may take action in some form. Okay. Um, People like, I mean, I'm cheap, I'm always looking for words like free, discount, or, words that say, ooh, exclusive or something, right? I mean, so think about what your customer is looking for, and then come up with those words and emphasize those words in your copy. And then test, 2 versions. Let's say if you put it up on social media, test 2 versions to see which one's working, which one is not as successful. Okay, let's move on to another one. This one says question versus no question. Okay, um, what do you think? Do you think we should have a question? You see on the left there is a question. On the right, there's no question. So think about what works for you, right? Um, Research has shown that there is a bit of a stronger engagement with a copy that has, a question. A copy that starts with who, what, where, when, how, why. Those copies, those ads tend to be a little bit more successful than the ones that are more instructional. Okay. But like just in any like normal conversation, which is more open-ended, right? Those the questions that are more open-ended, they encourage more participation, right? Versus just like plain statements. So for me, I mean, when I look at a question, I think, it grabs attention. It grabs my attention. Um, if it's an interesting question, it gets me a little bit more curious and intrigued. Um, and I might click on that ad because I want to know a little bit more. Okay. But again, um, this is about advertising research, right? And so think about testing. Test what works. Do both. See which one brings a better, response, a better user experience, right? And choose that. Okay, especially when you're attaching bigger budgets to something like an ad, like a social media ad, it's a good idea to test it before you throw in a lot of money toward it. Okay, let's move on to the next one, and this one says custom versus generic. Custom versus generic. Now, if you look at these two, you will see it's an exact same like stock photo, right? But what if you want to just make the stock photo a little bit more special and make it yours? You can add a little, little something to it to customize it to make it look a little bit better. So, of course, when you're creating your own ads, you do realize, you can't use copyright images. There are images out there that are free. Unsplash, for example, Pixabay, Pixels. I mean, there are a bunch of, sites that are free. You don't have to go to Shutterstock because that costs a lot of money. So, first of all, definitely choose an image which is attractive, which is unique, right? Unique in the way it's positioned, unique in the way it portrays certain emotions, unique in the way, how vibrant it is in terms of color, right? And then, just customize it for it to work for your ad, right? And there are lots of photo editing tools out there that allow you to do that. Canva, for example, is one of them. You can lighten it, you can crop it, you can put, interesting looking sticker kind of things up there, shapes that can be, used as your, text holders. So you can make it really fun. Again, try both, see what works, and choose an image accordingly. Okay, let's move on to people image versus product image. Okay, now you can see it. Of course, the ad is about a phone, right? But in one of them, you're seeing just the phone, and in the other, you're seeing a person holding your product. Okay. Um, Research has generally shown that when you actually have a person in the photo, it humanizes the photo, right? It makes it more personal, and you're more likely to get clicks because you have a person. It really is not about, just someone who is, a pretty face, or someone from a specific gender, right? It's just about showing people and lifestyles, somehow it works. But then there might be some others who would say, this is about an iPhone. And we don't need a person. I mean, the iPhone sells itself. It's a great product. It's going to sell itself. And we actually want to see the product up close and the features. I mean, that's what I really care about, not someone using the phone. Okay, so you may make that decision based on that argument, and just focus on the product itself and nothing else but that product. Okay. Um, what you want to do is think about what your consumer you think wants. Okay. If this particular image choice is right for that particular customer who's a techie, for example, then maybe that's the way to go. Okay. So test your product images with people, see what attracts most attention. An image with a person in it, or just a gadget itself. Okay, so people versus product. Okay, text only versus image. I'm showing you all of these comparisons, and I bet you that some of you may like the picture on the left, and the others would like the picture on the right. I mean, this is a subjective thing. Okay, but know that each of you will have a different reaction to what you are seeing. And so, therefore, there is no one right answer, right? Because people are looking at things differently. Now, when you look at text only versus image, I mean, on social, this is obviously social media. So, on social media, um, look at the quality of the photo and how special it is on the left. Okay. Now, social media is so visual. Um, People want to see the quality, people want to be attracted to a specific image because there are so many images out there. So choose one that is attractive. Choose one where people will likely click on, but whatever you choose, I mean, don't choose this weird hazy image that people cannot see. Whatever image you see should be professional, should be relevant to your business. Okay, but then look at the one on the right, and there is no photo, it's just text. And it also honestly still works. But which one do you like more? Which one are you likely to click on? Ask yourself that question, right? And of course, it's audience dependent too. Who is your audience? And what do you think they will care about? Okay, but whatever message you're trying to convey, you want to make sure that it's communicated clearly, that your fonts are right and easy to read. And if you have larger fonts, people are going to obviously look at that first before they look at the slightly smaller fonts on your site, okay, on your ad. So these are the things that you want to think about. And of course, again, test both. See what's working and choose that one for the larger campaign. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to talk about within this qualitative research component is ethnographic research, right? And I studied anthropology. One of the methods, one of the most important methods in anthropology is ethnography, and ethnography is used in many different sort of sectors today. We use it a lot in consumer research as well, which is where advertising sort of, fits in. Um, I still remember a time when I was hired by a company to sit in a bar and, just watch people drink beer, right? So the company that hired me, had a beer brand as one of their clients, and they wanted to see who the profile is, and why are they buying our beer, right? And um, who the competitor brands are. So if they're not buying our beer, they're buying another beer, and what's the profile of that customer, right? So this is all ethnographic research. Um, Getting into really the weeds and spending time with people and observing them and participating with them and learning about why they do what they do. So, often an ethnographer would, be observing. B would be trying to be a part of that culture and spending time with people from that culture um, to figure out where a specific brand fits into their lives, into their ritualistic life. And that is what we call participant observation. So, again, this is, obviously this is an advertising class, and research is something that, we talk about as one of our topics. This could be literally like a whole semester worth of teaching right there. So I'm not going to get deeper into that and into consumer research, but what I want to share with you is that a lot of advertising companies now use ethnographic research to find specific consumer based insights And it's a fascinating, field. Now, how are they doing it? Well, the whole observation, participant observation, spending time with people is very expensive. So while there are some companies that are doing that, we have a lot of sort of video tools that we can now use. Something like Zoom, where I can talk to a bunch of you, is a great way to collect that information. And then there are some very specific um, tools that are meant for these kinds of conversations, right? And so, those are the kind of tools that are being used. There is a company called Communispace, which is the name you see right here. They do amazing work. They do great insight work, and then they get information from people, and then they implement it, in the life cycles of a brand, or in their advertising. And then there are, companies that, have specific tools that they built, and they use that to interview people and spend time with them. And that's kind of the way that they gather research. So let's see if this stuff opens up here. Um, Now, this is your video demonstration tool. You see, this is the online bulletin board. And here's this lady, and she's the one asking the questions. And there are people in here who are being interviewed, and then they answer. So this is something very similar to what you see in a Zoom meeting, for example, right? Um, and then let's see, there is Communispace right here. Um, and they have this really nice, let's see, um, let's open it and see. So this is what they do. This is a case study from Santander.
The number one retail banking brand in the world. Over 14,000 branches, over 200,000 employees worldwide. We operate in 10 core markets around the world. We always knew as an organization we were going to rebrand from Sovereign to Santander when the time was right. This was really not just about a rebrand, but about really launching a new bank into the U.S. market. It was important to be aligned to the global brand, but yet understand what's important to the U.S. consumer. We felt it was critically important to be having conversations with customers and prospects about their thoughts on banking, their existing banking relationships, how they felt about money, what keeps them up at night, what motivates them.
I'm Dina, and I'm a member of Santander community. I'm a professor at Northeastern University and Bunker Hill Community College. It's been a lot of fun because it allows me to have input.
My name is Bhavin. I'm 23 years old, and I'm a medical student. Being a member of the community, I felt like my voice was being heard.
The bank striving to do better with its potential customers has been a positive experience for me.
I've never seen a company that's tried to integrate the people as much as this company has, asking the members what they think about this, or what is their take on this logo, or how do you feel if we integrated this functionality, or what are we missing? And I think that speaks volumes to what the company is trying to do.
What came out was the thought around listening, simplifying, and enabling. And those are really the three pillars of what we stand for here in this U.S. market.
It's great to see and hear all the ads for Santander and know that I made a difference.
I personally feel like I played a hand in making that change and this whole new outlook on this bank and kind of what they stand for.
When I listen to it, and obviously if somebody's in the car with me or anywhere near me, I'll get excited and say, hey, I think I thought of that. I think this is my idea.
As we move forward, we're going to continue to use the communities to learn and to ask questions and to test our assumptions, to not operate in a bubble, but to really involve our customers and prospects in our decision making. The opportunity to launch a brand like Santander in the U.S. has been one of the most rewarding professional experiences of my life. Seeing our advertising, seeing our marketing materials, walking in our branches, and seeing our team members coming together as a unified organization was one of the most rewarding and exciting moments and I'll never forget it.
So what you're seeing here is community space coming together, bringing their own customers into that relationship of having those conversations, and they're doing it on the platform called community space. A lot of their advertising, their strategies that they may have done, a lot of those things are based off market research. And a lot of it is being done through these bulletin boards, which basically is what community space is all about. Okay, so we've talked about in this particular video ethnographic research as well as advertising copy testing. And I hope you've kind of learned something about the different technologies that are out today. Even though qualitative research started very much, more personal, face to face, a lot of this stuff has moved online because it's cheaper and it's faster. And you can make a really great career out of qualitative research if you are on one of these platforms like Communispace, like with companies, who are doing this kind of video ethnography, because most big companies are actually doing it. Okay, good.